Alright, here goes nothing. Welcome to the Pain Behind the Pages podcast. I should do that again. Fuck it, we'll keep it in. Fuck it. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Pain Behind the Pages podcast, episode 1, pilot episode. See if this goes anywhere, see if people like it. Me talking to myself, name of the episode, roll credits. But yeah, the idea for this podcast came to me a few weeks ago. I was on a buddy of mine asked me to be on their podcast, his and his friends. Roland, thank you for having me on your show. I don't know, what day is today? The 1st of December. The episode comes out on the 4th, which is a Friday. I think, if I remember correctly. Life of Defiance, that was the podcast name. My friend asked me to be on. It was a lot of fun, and it got me thinking that maybe I'd want to do a podcast. I had been thinking of a podcast before that when my friend announced that he was going to be doing a podcast with a friend. I had the brilliant idea. I was like, yeah, I could do that too, you know. Talking to myself. I don't have a co-host yet. I don't know if anyone wants to co-host with me, then feel free to let me know. Hit me up. And if you want to be a guest on here, feel free to also hit me up. You can easily message me on Instagram at @thecoolguitarguy. And yeah, for now, I'm gonna keep this podcast on YouTube. If it goes anywhere, if people like it, then I'll consider uploading to Spotify and other podcasts. What is it called? Distributor? No. I can't think of the word right now. Well, English is so hard. Yeah. But Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, that kind of thing. If it's a great success and people want to hear it on podcast form on Spotify or something, I might consider doing that. What this podcast is about, or what the idea that I had when I got the idea to do a podcast was talking about my past experiences that have inspired me, for good or for worse. I was bullied at school a lot, from grade 1 to 7th or 8th grade. And obviously that changes a person, and that's kind of what this podcast is about. How those experiences have inspired me to write songs, how they've inspired me as a person, and how they've changed me as a person. I don't necessarily want the podcast to be only about the bullying, the painful things, but to be honest, that was most of my my childhood, actually. I don't want to be the kind of let's say negative, kind of sad podcast. I want this to be kind of a positive thing, how those, even though there's those painful experiences, how there's something good out of it. There's always something, that's my that way my mind works. No matter what happens, always look at the silver lining. But Yeah. Talking about writing songs, I've been writing songs like uh hold on. Quarantine started, I released an album, I'm still writing new songs uh as of recording this podcast. I have tons of material I need to record and release. But what inspires me to write, or how I write songs, I would say some parts of every song, like even if it's a metaphor or if it's like imagined, like my newest song, which is Virus, came out. That's kind of about, well, 2020 coronavirus, quarantine. So imagined kind of like a hellish apocalypse world and started writing about that. But there's always some sort of backstory behind those metaphors that kind of go back to me or go back to what I've experienced. Um, in my album, Lost and Found, there's a song called Monster, which is pretty much about bullying. Uh, how did the chorus go? I haven't listened to that song in a while. I don't listen to my own songs. Surprise, surprise. But the monster you created, that's the main part of the chorus, I think. It's time to face the monster you created. That's kind of about bullying and like kind of that kind of anxiety, depression, or that kind of mental state that bullying leaves. Kind of how I felt at the time. I guess that's what it is. When I was being bullied, how angry I was, how painfully like pissed off and sad I was. That's probably the like feeling of the song. And I remember like maybe writing that song kind of brought back memories of me being bullied. But in the end, when I started recording and screaming and singing, it kind of relieved that feeling for me. Those like experiences turned into something positive, turned into something productive. And that's kind of the angle I'm getting at from this podcast, what I want to talk about. Um, Maybe I'll tell some stories from me being bullied. I have tons of stories, great stories. Some even a little bit funny ones. But they weren't funny at the time. But now looking back at it, I can laugh at them. And what this first episode is about, talking to myself. That's kind of how I write songs as well, in a way. I imagine talking to a younger me, or a younger me talking to the present me, or something. It's always me, 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 me. Millennials are right. But yeah, that's how I write. How those experiences turn into something. Like, I don't want to carry around that stuff forever. I want to let it go. But there's still some resentment towards the people who've bullied me. Others who grew up, like I said, they grew up. Or did I say that? Like, some bullies stopped early on, some kept going. People grow up, people get tired, people just change. That's the thing. And I've already like forgiven most of those who have like laughed or bullied or whatever back in the past. Like I don't hold it against them. We were all just kids. Kids don't know any better. Even like now, recently, I ran into one of my past like school bullies, and I was actually surprised when they came up to me at a bar. I had no like idea that they even were there. They just grabbed me by the shoulder, started like complimenting me, like, "Hey man, you make awesome music. I've shown it to all my friends at work," or "You do great stuff." Like even like someone who's bullied me in the past has grown up and actually listened to what I've put out, like listen to my music, listen to my album, and they like it, and then come up to me and like, "Hey man, you did great." That feels incredibly good. Like the amount of growth in that person to go from "you suck, you're not cool, you're never gonna be anything" to showing like coming up to me and saying, "You're doing great stuff," and it actually like warmed my heart a little bit, just a little bit. But I was like, "Yeah, thank you so much," and that was it. Just a small interaction, and it immediately made me feel better about myself, about him actually. Coming up to me and actually kind of giving me that kind of feeling that they regret being mean to me or regret what they've in the past bullying me. And yeah, that felt good. And like how would I say this? Where to continue? I have no idea. I'm basically rambling, like going from subject to subject, um, talking to myself. That was what this episode was supposed to be about. Um, it isn't always that I write. Like it's not every time that I write like I'm talking to myself. Sometimes I'm talking to the bullies, or sometimes I'm talking to someone else, imaginary or metaphorical or something. Uh, Depends on the song, depends on the feel, depends on the frame of mind and how I'm feeling at the time. But yeah, in my album Lost and Found, there's a song called Lost and Found, which features my friend Venla, who did a great job. I'll tell a story about recording that song, which was kind of cool, how we did that. But in the song, there's like a line that's like, "You're going down, look at me now," kind of taunting to the bullies, like, no matter how many times you bring me down, I'll always get back up. I'll still do what I want to, do what I love. That kind of in your face song. And what the song is about is telling your stories, telling those experiences in any way, shape, or form. For me, that's music. For someone, that might be poetry or lyrics. But yeah, I'll talk about the recording process for that song with my friend Venla. I did most of the vocals in my own room, my parts. That is. For those who don't know, I scream into a closet. Literally, it's full of clothes. It's soundproof. It's really good isolation, I guess. But we had to do that at school in a room that had none of that stuff. It was echoey. It was a big room, so we kind of use that in a way. Venla's parts are like really echoey, kind of in the back of your head. I can talk apparently. In the back of your head, like, and the funny part of that is we had to hurry because we only had like an hour and a half after school to do that. I had to catch a bus. Venla had to catch a bus. So we were on a tight schedule. So I was like, yeah, can you do this and this and this? And she nailed it pretty much every take. And that's just how good that was. Like, she nailed it. Like, on the first few takes, we didn't have to do retakes that many times. And towards the end, I did a little oopsie because I forgot to bring my laptop charger. So we were running out of battery or charge on my laptop, and it just blinked like, you have 5%, you need to charge. And we started hurrying up towards the end, doing ad libs towards the end, and yeah, it turned out really great, even though we were like on a tight schedule and really working against the clock in a way, working against the laptop charging thing as well. But what the song is saying, the story needs to be told, and that's kind of how I've lived my life. Like, I'll talk to anyone who will listen, basically, about anything that's happened in the past, or like happened recently. I'll talk for hours on end. I didn't always used to be like that. I used to be a lot more shy, socially awkward. Some would say I still am around new people. I'm trying to get better at that. But yeah, it's been fun getting to know new people. I've met a few people now, like in the past few months. Talked to new people, met new people in real life. Met some old friends, talked to new or old friends. And yeah, that's been fun actually, even though like the corona thing and the quarantine stuff. In Finland, it's not that bad. We can still go out to bars and stuff like that, which is kind of weird, I guess. Depends on the area where you're at, I guess, if bars are or restaurants are closed down. But what was I saying? Yeah, met new people. I was, yeah. This is what happens when I get like lost in the train of thought, like lose it completely. I just go quiet, and that's when usually when the conversation just stops. But yeah, I was talking about being like socially awkward or shy, which partly comes from me being bullied, which like I guess that's the reason why I don't like big groups of people. When I'm around big groups of people, I feel left out. But yeah, it's something that I need to get better at. Something I need to work on. And again, talking about talking to myself. I've started making YouTube videos, like more than this, just the music and guitar covers, which is what I used to do a lot. Just guitar covers, and that was it. Before I worked up the courage to start singing and learned how to do like metal screaming and stuff like that, which is a recent thing actually. Like I haven't been doing that for a long time. It's been what, a year and a little bit on top of that, maybe. Last year, 2019, I started, I think, doing it more seriously. Started doing vocal covers, putting lyrics and actually my voice on songs. um, yeah, it's almost been a year since I released my first song with the vocals. It's almost been a year. Crazy to think about that. But yeah, talking to myself, I started posting like gaming videos. I started live streaming on Twitch. I've always felt more comfortable kind of being alone, being in my house, alone in my room. I've always been comfortable with that. I'm not uncomfortable when I'm alone. I actually enjoy it. I have no problem being alone. And that's the funny thing about quarantine. When everybody else was like complaining, like, I can't see my friends, I can't go out. And I'm just like, well, this is what I normally do. I just stay indoors and just play video games. Or play guitar or whatever I decide to do. Watch a movie or binge watch Netflix. Um, I've always been that kind of indoors kind of guy, I guess. Mainly because I was bullied. Boo hoo. I keep coming back to that, but I don't want that to be the like whole part of this podcast. I actually do have some other stories to tell, but maybe in a later episode or something. I'm gonna start wrapping this episode up. I kind of want this one to be a little shorter, maybe like a half an hour under that, just because of the upload time, and I need to edit this. I need to edit another video. I've started editing my highlight of 2020, funny quips and jokes I've done in my playthroughs of games and on Twitch streams. Kind of the best parts of this year. Even though this has been a really crazy year in terms of the whole world, coronavirus and everything. For me, this has been kind of a nice year. It's not that bad for me. Yeah, 2020 hasn't been that bad. We got some good music out of it, I guess. That's the silver lining. Really dug the Bring Me the Horizon EP or album. Also, Skillet released the Victorious like extended edition or whatever, Aftermath it was called, Victorious Aftermath, the deluxe edition. Oh yeah, System of a Down finally made some music, right? That happened as well. That was kind of a kind of a shock, to be honest. They haven't put out anything ever. It's been so long, but they released some new stuff. And for me, actually, like this year, I released my album. Before that, I had the 4-song EP. I thought like I would finish the album towards the end of the year, but I ended up finishing it pretty soon. Sooner than I thought. Maybe I'll talk more about the album, more about the songs themselves in the next episode of the podcast, in case I decide to do one. If this podcasting starts going well, if people like it, people listen. But for this first episode, I'd like to keep it kind of short and sweet. Can't really think of anything else to talk about right this second. I do have some like plans for this podcast, what I want to talk about, some experiences that have stuck with me and have shaped me into the musician or person I am today. But yeah, like I said, if you want to be a guest, come on the show, send me a message on Instagram at the cool guitar guy, all lowercase, all together, no spaces. And yeah, I think I'll wrap this up, start editing this, and get to releasing this before the day is over. I've been. How long has this recording been going on? I feel like I've been talking for like ages. Yeah, I'll wrap this up. We'll see you in the next episode. I hope, if people like this and people enjoy. Leave a like, comment. Feel free to share the podcast. Subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And I guess this is goodbye for now. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.